And welcome back to Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and today I'm going to share with you some information that I know is going to benefit you and help you get from where you are to where you want to be. This workshop is called M.G.S, which I like to call Mindset plus Grind equals Success. That's M.G.S, Mindset plus Grind equals Success. Now, I came up with this because I was asked to build a workshop of how people need to change their mind. How do they get to success? And I thought about it and I was like, well, with myself, I know that I go through a process of getting my mind right for anything I'm going to take on, any project I'm going to take on. I get my mindset. I start laying out some plans. I think about the work that I'm going to have to do, what the end result is that I want to have happen. And then I go about laying goals and doing those goals over and over and over. That's the grind until we get to success. So, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to M.G.S, Mindset plus Grind equals Success. Now, when we think about mindset, yes, it is a noun, and it's something that we have to think into existence. The power of your mind is it's infinite. Sometimes people have said, if you think it, then it can exist. I believe that God created us with that in our DNA. Have a mindset that if we can think of something, then we can find a way to make it exist. When I am going to get up every morning, I go into the bathroom, I stand in front of the mirror. This is after I do my devotion. That's part of my mindset, getting my mind right for what's going on during that day. And I stand in front of the mirror and I look at myself and I talk to myself. Sometimes it's verbal and sometimes it's just in my mind. But I talk to myself and remind myself who I am, what I am going to do that day. I kind of go through my to-do list of things that I can remember is on the to-do list for that day. And I mentally think about how I'm going to go about getting that done. What things am I going to do before breakfast? What things am I going to do before coffee even? And the order of priority of how I'm going to get things done. Now, mindset also is contributing to you with the type of mindset that you have. If you have a fixed mindset, you'll think to yourself, I can't do this. This work is too hard for me. What I've done is already good. That's enough. Do anything else. That's a fixed mindset. But I suggest that you try to have a growth mindset. In a growth mindset, you want to do better. You want to learn more. Okay. You want to explore things. You always want to continue to learn. And that's the kind of mindset that I have. I want to be a lifelong learner. Okay, there's new things to learn. We have the internet now. We can search things at the drop of a dime. And I want to know how things work. I want to know more about myself. I want to know more about the world around me and how I can contribute to that. So I definitely want to have a growth mindset. When you are going to take on any project, I suggest that you have a growth mindset as well to allow you to do the best job, to learn everything that you need to learn about that project, and even thinking beyond it, the steps that you're going to have to take in the upcoming future to get to that success level, whatever that may be for you. And I will say this as well, not a lot of people have growth mindsets. When you think of people that have growth mindsets, you think of like Michael Jordan, who was always in the gym, always trying to get better, always ready to challenge anybody on the court. You might think about him as far as being a businessman as well. Great deal with Nike, all of the products that he sponsors. Okay, he knows how to go about getting ahead or getting where he wants to go, or getting the right people in place to help him where he wants to go. That's all part of a growth mindset. Think of Oprah Winfrey. Okay, think of Tyler Perry. They would not be where they are if they did not have the growth mindset. Fixed mindsets, it is stifling to me. It puts you into a box that sometimes it's hard to get out of. When I was in school, some people only wanted to get a passing grade. If they got that D, they were good. Now, in my household, my mother knew the potential that my brother and I had. We were expected to get the best grade possible. And of course, that was A's and B's. C's were not allowed. C's you may has as well as flunked, brought home an F, but an A was excellent. A B was allowable, but you had to work on that to try to bring that up to an A. And that helped me with my growth mindset. There's something out there that I can get better than this grade that I already got. So I need to go and try to do better, learn more, to apply myself, get better grades, and keep growing that way. Of course, when you get the A's, then the mindset is, okay, I can't let this slip. I got to keep the A's. And you keep growing and learning and doing better. So we are going to take a little break right here. And when we come back, we're going to continue with M.G.S. Mindset plus grind equals success. This is Born to Speak to You TV, and I'll see you in 1 minute. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV, and I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs. And today we are talking about M.G.S. Now, you might say, what's M.G.S. if you're just tuning in? M.G.S. is mindset plus grind equals success. This is a formula that I came up with that helps people get from where they are to where they want to be. Now, we've already talked about the M, which is mindset. We talked about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. And it is paramount to have a growth mindset if you want to have a smoother road to being a success. And then we have the grind. The grind is where the rubber meets the road. I love the grind. It's a verb, and it means to perform repetitive tasks over and over and over and over again to attain a goal. Now, the grind, we all hate the grind. If you have a job, you work in corporate America, you find yourself sometimes not wanting to get up. You find yourself not wanting to go to work. You want to take the day off or have a long weekend or whatever the case may be because you don't want to go through the grind. The grind is where you learn. The grind is where you get that expertise of what you need to be successful. The grind, I get it. The grind can be a hard place to be. It can be lonely. As you're grinding towards your goal, you find yourself not having any companions with you on that journey. You got to do it by yourself. The grind can be a lonely place. And again, I get it. But the grind is where success comes. The grind helps success come. We talked about Michael Jordan earlier and his growth mindset. Think about all those hours in the gym, just dribbling, just practicing shots, going through scenarios in your mind. That's the grind. Going to practice over and over and over and over before games. That's the grind. Getting up out of bed every day, getting your mindset right for what's got to happen that day, that's the grind. And I get it. But I'll tell you something about the grind. You cannot cheat the grind. You cannot cheat the grind. The grind is where the rubber meets the road. And when you talk about the grind, here's some people, some athletes that have trained tirelessly, and it shows in what they've done and what they're doing. We talked about Michael Jordan. There's Olympic athletes as well. Think about all the hours they put in training and getting better at whatever field they're in. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, female basketball players, superstars who train and they practice. And then when they get on the court, it shows. Saquon Barkley, running back now for the Philadelphia Eagles. Someone that I admire because of his work ethic. And not only athletes, but entrepreneurs. Think about where Elon Musk would be without the grind, without hustling to build his business. Think about Richard Branson. We talked about Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. If they hadn't grind out what they had to do each and every day, if they hadn't met the challenge of the grind, they would not be as successful as they are. I dare to say they wouldn't be where they are. You cannot cheat the grind. You can't cheat the grind. It knows how much you've invested. You can fool yourself, but you cannot fool the grind. And the grind will not give you anything that you haven't worked for. This is something that I believe 100%. If you want something, you got to want it as much as you want your next breath. And you're willing to do the grind. And this way, once you make that investment, you can reap the benefits of the grind. So, what's some things that people do? Waking up early, maintaining a to-do list, practicing gratitude, setting goals, continuous learning, and prioritizing focused work. These are all things that people that are successful do during the grind period. And even beyond that, some of them continue to do it because they know the process works. The process works. Think about when you were in school and you had to come home every single day and do homework. It seemed stupid, right? It seemed like something that you didn't want to do. I learned at an early age to embrace the grind of doing homework. For me, homework is where I learned. Reading, studying, writing, that's where I learned. I found it hard to learn in class. There was too many people talking. There was some things that I had to think out or maybe see in the page of a book that I didn't understand. But when I got home and I was able to have quiet, do my studying, do the grind, that's when things started to make sense. That's when the light bulb, as they say, came on for me. You can't cheat the grind. It knows how much you've invested, and it won't give you that A if you haven't worked for it. Believe that. Recently, my wife and I was watching a trivia TV show, and the question came up about civilization and whether civilization started around uh, mountains, flatlands, or rivers. And I remembered from ninth grade that civilization started around rivers. Okay, it actually started around I believe it was the Nile River or maybe the Amazon River, but it was definitely around water because the early people needed to fish, get fished for food. They needed water, access to water. Okay. And I remember that because of the grind. Ninth grade, I sat down and made myself learn that. And it stuck with me all these decades later. And I was able to answer that question. So my wife looked at me and said, "How did you know that?" Baby, you can't cheat the grind. I invested, I learned, and now years later, I have the benefit of knowing that answer. The grind won't give you anything that you haven't worked for. So at this point, we're going to take a little break and we will be right back with Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and we're talking about M.G.S. Mindset, grind equals success. See you in a minute. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and today we are talking about M.G.S., which means mindset plus grind equals success. Now, we've talked about the mindset. Okay, the mindset is whether you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, or whether you need a mindset shift. And then we talked about the grind. You can't cheat the grind. The grind knows how much you've invested, and it won't give you anything that you haven't worked for. We also talked about the routines and habits of some successful people: waking up early, regular exercise, setting goals, continuous learning. These are some things that I try to put in practice as much as I can, because I know that by doing this and making it a habit, something that I'm going to do day in and day out, guess what? It kind of moves it from being a grind to being, just as I said, a habit, something that I do without thinking because it's something that I know needs to be done. Waking up early, maintaining my to-do list. I live and die by my to-do list, practicing gratitude for what I have and sharing that with others. That's all part of a successful habit routine. So success, when it comes, it's not an accident. When success comes, it's not a chance, it's not a destination, it's hard work, it's patience, it's learning, and it's sacrifice. Think about the grind, the hard work, the patience, the learning, the sacrifice that you make during the grind. That plus your mindset leads you to be successful of whatever it is that you're grinding towards, whatever your mindset is set upon. It's going to lead you to success. And when you reach the success, it's a great thing to look back with gratitude and enjoy the journey. Look back over the journey, because there's things to learn when you become successful, like being humble, being grateful, and seeing if you can impart that knowledge on someone else to make their journey maybe a little bit easier for them, letting somebody else learn from your mistakes. I want to go back just a second to shifts in mindset. I mentioned that, but I have to go back and explain a little further about mindset shifts. We all know of a young lady named Malala. I cannot say her last name right now, but she was the target of violence. She was shot in the head by the Taliban when she was like 15 years old for advocating girls' education in Pakistan. She was shot in the head. And her mindset shift was choosing courage over fear. She decided that surviving meant she had a mission to fight harder for educational rights for girls. And the outcome of that, her success, was she became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and she continued to inspire global movements for education and equality. Wow. See, that's the mindset shift. And then the grind, speaking out, even though she may have been afraid, she chose courage over fear. When we think about J.K. Rowling, the author um, of the Harry Potter series, she was a struggling mom. I believe she may have been from Boston, but she was a struggling mom. She was living on government assistance. She was depressed. She had multiple rejections from publishers. Uh, she may have been at her wit's end. But her mindset shift was that she decided that she had value in her stories, and she was not quit until her stories was told. She adopted the mindset that the only way to fail was to stop trying. I'm going to say that again because somebody needs to hear that. She adopted the mindset that the only way to fail was to stop trying. Her success, her outcome was that she created the Harry Potter series, selling over 500 million copies and changing the landscape of children's literature forever. Now we all are associated with Harry Potter. Either we've seen the movies, we've been to the theme parks. They have Harry Potter theme parties now, and it's become a part of our culture because she had the mindset. J.K. Rowling had the mindset that she was not going to give up unless she died. She was not going to quit until she became successful. Now, I'd like to tell you some stories about some lesser known people that also had mind shifts. And these are people that I know personally. I know a person that was in the theater, did a lot of community theater, and could have been a very good actor from the beginning. He struggled with learning lines. I think he had dyslexia, and he struggled with learning lines and taking cues and everything, but he kept working at it and working at it. And he even came to me at one point and audition. And I saw something in him, but I was like, you got to learn your lines. He went and got a mentor that identified his dyslexia, helped him with the ability to memorize lines. And from that point, he took off. He was auditioning, he was getting parts. I've seen him now on TV. He was on NCIS Los Angeles. He's been on Chicago Fire and Chicago Med. Although he didn't have any speaking parts, we did see him. He's been on national commercials. Yes, this is a person that did not give up. And with a little encouragement and then finding a mentor, was able to go from the mindset of, wanting to have something to making that a reality, of going through the grind until they reached success. Ain't that something? And you can do the same thing too, because success is not an accident. I believe that success is not a chance. It's not just a destination. It's the result of hard work. When people look at a mountain and they say, wow, this person has climbed the mountain and they're at the top and they're successful, what they don't see is underneath the mountain, underneath that land base, is all of the hard work, is all of the doubt, is all of the discipline, is all of the loneliness that person had to go through to actually reach the pinnacle that they were on. The top of the mountain, as we call it, is also a struggle to get there. And the journey to the top, it can be lonely. It can be hard. It can be, it can make you doubt if this is even worth it, if you can do it. But I say to you, stick with it. Stick with it, and you'll be surprised at your results. So, what does this have to do with Born to Speak to You? See, I believe that everybody has a story. I believe that everybody has a voice. I believe that some people may not use their voice because they haven't learned how to change their mindset. They may not use their voice because they haven't learned how to deal with the grind. They might not use their voice because they feel they be successful. I am supposed to be quiet. The world wants me to shut up about diversity or maybe equity or inclusion. So this is not popular right now. I'm going to be quiet. Okay. However, I believe because I am born to speak to you, and I've seen the change in myself, that person that is willing to change their mindset, that is willing to endure the hard work, the persistence, the late nights, the rejections of the grind, will reach success. And I don't care what it is, this formula works, but there's something that links the mindset and the grind to success. I call it the bridge. And that bridge is discipline. Discipline is the bridge that can take you from your dreams to laying out your goals to achieving those goals, which we call success. Discipline. And this is also something that I do workshops on. Discipline is the bridge. How we can break the distractions that come up on a daily basis. And distractions will come up. I don't care what your line of business is. I don't care what your mindset is. Distractions will come up. Life will come up. The kids will come up. Relationships will come up. Tiredness will come up. But you have to learn the discipline. Take time off. Get your batteries recharged. Do what you have to do. And then come back and pick up. You see, momentum is critical in discipline. Everybody needs to take time off. You need time to recharge. Even if you're in the gym working out, okay, you have to take time off to let your muscles and your body just relax and get back to normal before you begin. But you don't take a 2-month break. You take a few days off. And in those 2 days, you can then recharge your batteries, refocus yourself, and come back and get back into the grind to get to your success. Well, that's the M.G.S, the mindset plus the grind equals success. We're going to take a little break right here. This is Born to Speak to You TV, and I'll see you in just a few minutes.
Raise your hand if you've ever been busy. Raise your hand if you've ever got tired and feel like you just need a couple days off. Most people would have both hands up right now. That's our world, fast-paced and income-driven. That's why we get caught up in our own lives so often, and that's why it's understandable when most people don't focus on worries that aren't their own. So what makes someone become a humanitarian? Someone whose whole life focuses on the welfare of other humans.
When you go back and you see kids that were living on the streets, kids had no structure, they had no routine, people who had nothing, they didn't have meals. When you see that they're all of a sudden they're waking up, they have structure, they have something to do, they have a meal in their belly, their life changes completely. They like I said, their self-esteem changes, their self-worth, their ability to know who they are in the world, have the potential of becoming, to give that hope, to give that dream, and then to watch people actually use that to do good for themselves and others is amazing. It becomes an addiction.
And with Serena's help, we'll find the meaning of life to a humanitarian.
And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs. And man, we have been talking about M.G.S, which means mindset plus grind equals success. And you may come to the question about why this matters, why I say that your voice matters. Your voice matters because you have a voice and you were born to use it. I believe that all of us have a story to tell. Now, you may say to yourself, I'm quiet. I don't want to be on the stage. I'm not a speaker. I don't care what people uh, have to say about me. And no one wants to hear what I have to say. I'm not important enough. I believe that each and every one of us was born with certain gifts. Some of us have the gifts to be speakers. Some of us have the gifts to be actors. Some of us have the gifts of being a baker. But whatever it is, we should strive to be successful at whatever it is we're supposed to do. For those that are supposed to teach, then teach. For those that are supposed to think, then think. But think about things that are worthwhile. That's going to help not only yourself but the world. I'm talking about humanity here. Think about these things that can make a difference in the world. Right now, we know the world that we live in. I'm not even going to go into some things that's going on in the world, but there's a lot of despair. There's a lot of people that want progressive people to be quiet. They want people that are I would say interested in diversity, equity, inclusion. They want them to be quiet. Okay, there's a lot of discrimination going on in the world. And if you feel that you have the power, the voice to change anything going on, get your mindset right. Get your mindset right. Get ready for the grind. Be determined that you are going to do whatever it is you set out to do. And then you will be successful. And part of the mindset, you can flip those negatives about the fixed mindset. I can't do it. It's too hard. Your story is your superpower. You survived something that someone else is still going through. Okay. So you can help them on their journey. Your truth has the power to free others. Somebody else's power or somebody else's story has the power to free you. So find those people. They're out there. Those people that have changed their mindset. Those people that have done the grind. The people that have had different levels of success. Talk to them. Get a mentor. Ask questions. Be inquisitive. Do research. And you will get to your success. And that's what Born to Speak to You is all about. You were born to be heard. You were born to speak. And now it's time to be heard. And that's what, again, we try to do with this show. Speak life into the moments that matter. My goal, my hope is that someone will hear this show and want to do more to change their life and their family's life and make an impact on the world. Maybe be successful. Maybe they want to start a business, be an entrepreneur. Maybe they just want to be able to teach or train somebody else. This is where the rubber meets the road. Okay. This is where you get your mindset going. You get the grind going to be successful. So that's it for M.G.S, Mindset, Grind, and Mindset plus Grind equals success. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and it has been a pleasure to bring this workshop to you. Please like the page, like the link. If you have any suggestions, please put them into the social media outlets. And let me know if there's any topics you'd like to hear coming up in the future. If there's any guests that you might want to have on the show, write to me. Let me know my email address. You can reach me at born to speak to you. The two is the number 2 at gmail.com. Born to speak to you at gmail.com. And please Check out my website. It's calvingibbs.com. And you can also leave a message for me there as well. If you'd like to have me come out to your organization and do a workshop, all the topics are listed on the website, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. So let's speak life into the moments that matter. I'm your man, Calvin Gibbs, and I will see you at the next episode of Born to Speak to You TV. Let's speak life.